Alright, this is Nick back again, continuing my theme on talking about using alternative health methods to try and assist in improving general health. Okay, that's the whole thing. What we're looking at here is an online list of frequencies which you'd use with a electrical device which generates those frequencies in order to try and help the body. Now, these things weren't actually come across arbitrarily. There's been proper people doing proper work to try and work out what would actually do what and help the body in which ways. You got people like Rife, Crane, Clark, and all the rest of that. And some of their work, it overlaps. And that's why we got things like the Consolidated Annotated Frequency List, which can then be used with all kinds of bioelectric devices. But it is daunting as hell. And if you look at that, you've got one whole list here. You can see the number of frequencies you got there. Say you spend like 10 minutes on each one, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, that would be 100 minutes straight out. And then you got like all the rest of those fuckers to do, and those fuckers as well. So it's no wonders that people want to try and get their hands on some kind of like cheaper, easier to use, less intellectually daunting device like the standard Halder-Clark Zapper in order to try and provide them with the bioelectric assistance that they require. From what I can tell, there's a bit of a debate, so it suggests, as to whether you're using positive offset square waves, which is what your Halder-Clark device gives off, or whether you use positive offset with sine waves, which was what some people use for more specific forms of zapping work. And there are some zappers out there which have a good quality square wave output, but they would use, let's say, they'd use, let's say, the frequencies on this list, whereas other people would then use the sine wave positive offset system in order to try and assist the body in some particular way. Halder-Clark suggested that the frequency was not quite as important if you're using positive offset technology, and I suppose that kind of thinking carried on. I'm sure you've seen these online before with this particular type of device by Don Croft et al. Problem with a lot of these people who sell these Zapper technologies is that they've got two different audiences. Number one, normal, ordinary, everyday people who are trying to improve their health, okay, and have got some kind of health issue. And secondly, some people who are unsufferable hippies, who are like so heavily into like the whole orgone energy and all that kind of stuff, and weird stuff. So their explanations, some of which make sense to a normal person who's got some kind of vague medical or nutritional background, and some of which is so far Lucy in the sky with diamonds that it's practically over the hill and far away. It's, it's like over the rainbow. It's kind of like bats in a belfry, and that will put you off. If you look at all that particular aspect of that genre of explanation, that will put you off taking this stuff more seriously. But if there is some kind of like benefit to it, like anything related to the big C, okay, if there's anything like, some of these things are normal life problems, like cold and flu and that sort of stuff. There we go, it just says there, flu. C, use influenza. So I'm obviously going to carry on doing what the doctor tells me and using the medicine the doctor tells me. But I'm also going to be exploring these things. I mean, there's so much here. I mean, if you had like a whole list this long and you only had like 1 hour in a day, because like you got to work, you got to look after yourself, you got to do your shopping, you pay your bills and all the rest of it, how the fuck are you going to go through each and every single one of those frequencies? So what you'd have to do is to research them and cross-reference which ones are like most important for whatever aspect, and what are the ones they also affect. Like, let's say you've got, a cold and flu, and one of these things also works with cold and flu, and then another one also works with like a candida. You then like choose the ones that work with cold and flu and candida, and also work with whatever the fuck that is, the thing that the list says. and then create a protocol based upon that, and then just see basically what the hell happens and whether you get some kind of like healing or health benefit or effect or improvement in your general well-being. After the experiences I've had when I mix the anti-parasite herbs with using the higher powered frequency generator, which is much more higher powered than the standard poxy-pathetic little Haldiglock zapper I've got here, which I'm still using right now. Today I've done a couple of hours on it. I'm going to do another hour or so before I get on with some exercise. And, you know, things happened. Essentially things happened. So my hypothesis here, and it is just like hypothetical experimental type stuff, kind of like ghetto healthcare really, is that there's some benefit to it, but you got to carry on doing like all the medical stuff as well, all the regular herbs, all the regular nutrition, all the regular medical stuff which is being prescribed for you in order to like help improve the general state of well-being of the body. I mean, I got a whole stack of like nutritional supplements I've added to my system, which have really helped me in lots of different ways. But there's still more work I have to do upon my body, and more work I have to do upon, like, you know, different aspects of my health. And I got lots of aspects of my health which needs working on, and this I'm just going to use as being part of it. I mean, I think it's rather interesting. We got like one frequency there at 10,000 cycles, which is also used with alcoholism, but that's also used with hernia. So if you're a recovering alcoholic who had a hernia, then you could use that frequency in a protocol, maybe 10 minutes on that, 10 minutes on that, and 10 minutes on that, and then that, and then that, and then see how that would do you. So that would be a protocol taking 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes, if 10 minutes was right. Now, some of these, it's actually got instructions saying that there are some frequencies used for particular periods of time. So 1488 and 2950 for 15 minutes. Okay, so a little bit like an instruction for cooking. But when you're using your bioelectric zapper connections, you know, your pipes covered in wet hand towel, you don't just hang on to them in your hands. You also put them, like, you can also do them under your feet. And you do them like from your left foot to your right hand, and right hand to your left foot, and across the body, and vertically with left hand to left foot, and that kind of stuff. Or indeed, like, let's say, put them on either side of your waist if you're dealing with something inside your digestive system, and so on and so forth. Just like target the areas as best you can. So the whole discipline of bioelectrics becomes very complicated. And because, and this is like a real pain in the ass here, okay? Because everything is like non-approved by, you know, the government or the whoever it is in charge of medicines and drugs and nutrition and that sort of stuff in your country. People are very like unwilling to say how on earth you're supposed to use this stuff. It's all completely up to you to try and work things out. So all the responsibility rests on your shoulders. And you just don't know nothing. Okay, you're just approaching this stuff from the point of view of, hey man, I know nothing. There we go, loads there for influenza. So you have to type in each individual frequency. I mean, if you're using a cheaper device like what I got, you know, you type in each and every single individual frequency and do some time on that. You know, just think about how much work you're putting in. We just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're doing 5 minutes on each. 5, 6 is a 30. 30 minutes just to do that, let alone that, and that. You know, it's pretty crazy, hectic stuff. Obviously, I'm not turning around to you and saying, like, this is the way, the truth, and the light, okay, so don't listen to me. I'm just a person who's just trying to find out how the world works just like you are. But I think this stuff is very interesting, and I think it could have some benefit.